Well, the NHL trade deadline is officially over, but not without some drama at the end. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes podcast, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Petey and Craig. We are out of breath. We appreciate everybody's patience waiting for us to go live, but the Calgary Flames and the Coyotes made a last-minute deal, so trying to get all that information in, but we can all take a deep breath. The trade deadline is passed.
Isn't it a funny trade deadline? Because talking to people around the league, this has been like a 2-week-long trade deadline. It wasn't today.
It's been a marathon.
It's been weeks.
Like a marathon.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know you have a graphic that you're going to show like how few deals actually happened today, although a bunch came in right at the deadline. But
yeah, that's true.
it was not like years
historically
past.
low. It seemed historically low, especially compared to years past. So it's just a very fascinating deadline. Of course, the Coyotes had to make it interesting by making a few more moves right at the end. But before, we used to do a thing at the beginning of our shows where we would do a clearing, where we just kind of let go of all the negative energy before we start. And I think a show like today where
Is there negative energy around the Coyotes on social media?
I would say so.
I barely noticed.
Yeah, so let's just have a clearing and let's just enjoy this photo of some corgis.
Oh.
Really, no.
See, now, how could you be down after that?
No, I mean, that one on the left, I think its name is Lana or something. That's great. I love it. So everybody enjoy these corgis, take a breath, have a clearing, and then we'll talk about it all.
All right.
Okay, I do feel better.
I do feel better too. Thank you, Sean, for that.
Corgi energy.
Yeah, big corgi energy. Well, let's get right into it. If you've been watching our show all week, we've already talked a lot about Jakob Chychrun. We've talked about Shayne Gostisbehere. We'll give a few other thoughts on those, of course, in the next hour. But we should kind of go in order of recency, I think, just because it's what's sticking in people's minds. And we're going to go through all the Coyotes trades, the impact on the team, what it all means moving forward. We're going to project the lineup for the rest of the season. But let's go over the trades first, and we'll start with the one that just went down. Troy Stecher, RIP, best dressed player on the Coyotes, and Nick Ritchie traded to the Calgary Flames in exchange for Brett Ritchie, yes, Nick Ritchie's brother, and Connor Mackey.
Okay.
Initial thoughts.
This was a trade. I like the fact that it's brother for brother. That's crazy. I don't know if that has
ever happened.
I don't know. It might have happened with the Sutters since there were like 17 of them in the league, but that's crazy. And it's his older brother, doesn't play, probably not quite the same style. But I haven't had a chance to talk to General Manager Bill Armstrong about what this particular deal does. I'm guessing this is more, and Petey, you might know something about this. This might be more about what Calgary wanted.
Yeah, this is about Nick Ritchie. I mean, Nick Ritchie, when you look at a player that what Calgary's style of play is, both Ritchies are physical and get into the corners and can be that player. The difference between Nick and his older brother Brett is Nick's more talented. Nick's got the opportunity to add some secondary offense. And if you've looked at this Calgary Flame team that went from one of the top 5 teams in goal production over a year ago, is struggling to score goals. So they took a flyer on Nick Ritchie. Let's face it. We've talked about Nick Ritchie over the last 2 months. Almost non-existent. This last week, you say, okay, maybe he's picking up. Daryl Sutter's not going to let anybody float on his team. It's just not possible. So this might jumpstart Nick Ritchie just for 2 months where they could really use him. I expect him to play a bottom 6 forward role that's going to be able to get to the net hard, secondary power play minutes, and hopefully add to a secondary scoring to a team that's going to have to play some pretty good teams in the playoffs if they get in. And they need to be deep because when you look at if they have to face off against a team like Edmonton, I don't think is as deep. I just don't. And their addition of Bjugstad helps Edmonton, but I think Calgary's looking to be a deeper team and may be able to compete against some of the top teams in the West. As far as Brett Ritchie coming back, what can Coyote fans expect? Size,
big guy.
He's 6'4", well over 200 pounds, and he skates well for a big guy. He can be physical, but he gets to the net. Like if he's going to add anything, he's going to do it around the blue paint, and he is tough. Like he's hard to defend because of his size. He's going to be physical. He's going to be a bottom 6 guy too. That's going to get to the net hard. Mackey on the back end. I don't know well enough. He's not an everyday guy right now.
6'3".
Yeah, another big player that Bill's bringing in.
He loves size on the blue line.
And we'll see when we go to the lineup where he fits, if he fits. But I expect Brett Ritchie to jump right into the lineup in the bottom six.
Yeah. We talk about the walking and talking effect. When you do walking and talking with a player, they usually go on to have success. And that boost might have gone a little too far in sending Troy Stecher to the Calgary Flames. How do you think he can fit with Calgary?
Well, it's interesting because they've got players like Rasmus Andersson, but they don't. And Mackenzie Weegar that they added in the offseason from Florida. So they have that puck-moving guy. He's going to be a guy that you're looking at on the bottom pair there in Calgary. Mm-hmm. But he's a bottom pair guy that, one thing when you talk to people around the league about Troy Stecher is his compete level. And he works incredibly hard. He's an all-in guy whenever he's on the ice, and that's the kind of player that the Calgary Flames need. They need a guy that's going to go every time he's on the ice. So I think they're going to be thrilled with his game. And we talked about his ability to get the puck up the ice. I know his offensive numbers don't necessarily reflect him as an offensive defenseman, but he moves the puck up extremely well.
He does.
He is going to help this team play fast, which is what they want to do with some of their skilled forwards. But I also think he's going to bring that Daryl Sutter energy, and I think he's going to fit in well in this locker room. But I do think it's at a lower pair for Calgary. He's going to help this team as they're trying to get a solid playoff position.
And he played in more of a defensive role this year than maybe he had in the past, and showed that he could do it in minutes. So he had an insane percentage of his defensive his zone starts were defensive. So he was in a different role, and he showed some things. So I think that gives maybe scouts, when you're looking at a player like that, a better understanding of what the player's capable of when you're bringing him in this situation. As we said a million times on this show, you need depth on the blue line in the playoffs because you are going to lose some guys.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he does play, because I come into the right-hand side, he's either going to play with Tanev or Zadorov. And Zadorov. And I tell you what, that Zadorov, depends on which team he plays for. It's pronounced differently. He's a really big guy that surprisingly gets to the net hard. I see that pair. I see him with Zadorov. I see that being a real interesting pair. I like it because I think Zadorov is a big, strong, physical defenseman, but it gets up the ice better than people think. I like that tandem, so I'm going to be curious to see if Stecher plays with Zadorov, because I really like that pair, because they've already got Anderson with Weegar. Then I think they're pretty solid, and then you follow up with Tanev Hanifin. I like their six, if you can throw them into the six.
Yeah, well, and looking at what the Coyotes got in return, and I think Lee Olson in the chat just said, Calgary fans say Mackey is, quote, unspeakably bad. Obviously, we won't know until he gets here.
Builder.
But just looking at stats, in 10 games this season, 3 points with Calgary. Played a lot of the season last season in the AHL for the Stockton Heat, 36 points in 53 games in Stockton. So I think Coyotes fans should just manage their expectations.
What if people say that about me too when I'm not around? Like he's unspeakably bad.
Wow.
And as for Brett Ritchie, as far as the offensive output in 34 games with Calgary this season, 8 points, 4 points in 41 games last season, and 8 points in 32 games the year before. So I think everybody should maybe temper their expectation. And these are some high offensive output players. But as Julia just asked in the chat, did the Coyotes get bad enough to plummet to the bottom? Julia, that's something we're going to see in a little bit when we go over the lines. The Coyotes did blow it all up kind of in a way.
Did you see those Blackhawk practice lines today?
Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll kind of come to that conclusion as we go along here. But do you have any other thoughts on this trade, or should we move on to the next one?
I think we should move on. And Petey, should I get a box of tissues?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it over. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go.
So, let's talk about Nick Bjugstad, Petey's bestie, the best bromance there ever was, the Minnesota man crush, if you will. Nick Bjugstad traded it to the Edmonton Oilers. Oh my goodness.
DP. Now that's a producer right there that understands.
Leave the whole box.
Oh man.
You have no idea. But I will say this. When we first talked about Nick Bjugstad, the day they signed him, I was actually in Minnesota, for those that could tell. I was at my dad's office. I said at the time, it's a guy that just needs a chance to play. He's going to restart his offense, and he's going to be great in the room and help lead the younger players along. And he did exactly what he was asked. This one, and we know how much this hurt me, just personally. But as a team, this one's tough.
Oh, yeah.
He was extremely well liked. I will say this. The talk around the ice den this morning, the morning skate, was Christian Fischer might be a little happy because he now is back to being the nicest guy in the locker room. So there was some debate whether it was Bjugstad or Fish.
Maybe we should have a vote on that.
Before, they were pretty tight in who was the nicest, but now there's no debate. It's back to Fish. This one, to me, it hurts on both areas for this team. When we talk about the Coyotes, what this does on the ice and off the ice, this move is a really tough move. What this does to Edmonton, we talked about what Calgary's trying to become more balanced. It's been Edmonton's problem all along. They're so top heavy and they struggle with secondary scoring. This is a great pickup for the Edmonton Oilers. Like I can't stress enough how big a deal this move is for the Edmonton Oilers. They don't need up front. They don't need the scoring. They have no problems with high-end offensive talent or power play guys. They need a guy that can play a lot of minutes and play 200 feet, and you can trust him on the ice in either end of the ice. And that's Nick Bjugstad. And he's going to go in there as a good soldier. He's going to keep his mouth shut, and he's going to do what you ask him to do. I think that's a great move for Edmonton. For Arizona, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to see, one, you're going to get a guy that's playing a lot of minutes in big, important roles for you, and in return, you don't get anybody that you're throwing on the ice right now.
So the trade was Bjugstad and Cam Dineen to Edmonton in exchange for a 2023 third-round pick and defenseman Michael Kesselring, who we found out today at practice will be making his NHL debut tonight. Michael Kesselring, a 6'5" right shot defenseman, big guy. Lots of big guys coming this way. Fits the mold of Bill Armstrong's team. He's 23 years old. He was drafted 168th overall by the Oilers in 2018, went to Northeastern, and then he's been at in the AHL playing for Bakersfield, 22 points in 49 games with Bakersfield this season. And then as for Cam Dineen going the other way, he's kind of been part of this Roadrunners team for a while, 35 points in 50 games this season, played a stint with the Coyotes, 34 games last season, just 7 points in that time frame. But Cam Dineen, I think part of that was clearing some money as well for the Coyotes.
Yeah, and just not a part of their future. Just wasn't a part of their future. So another opportunity, see what he can make of that. I just, not to stick on the Bjugstad thing because, Petey might have to get a second box of tissues, but such a class act going out the door. I did catch up with him and Shayne Gostisbehere, who we'll talk about in a moment, right after the trades. And as I said in my tweet, the guy could teach a course in adulting. He's just a good human being. He treats people with respect. He thanked Bill Armstrong for the opportunity to refine his game on the way out. Wow, it's going to be really tough on this room to lose a guy. I think he is one of the biggest reasons that this team overachieved this season because his presence just meant so much.
I agree with that, but here's something that I was asked earlier today. I've been asked it on Twitter. Is there a possibility that there's a future in Arizona for Nick Bjugstad this summer?
We'll see. We'll see.
And a couple of things. He does own a home here. Loved it in Arizona. He liked the city, liked being here, made a lot of good
lobbying
friends here. But the concern I have is that it all depends on how big of a role and how good of a playoff stretch he has. If Edmonton goes one and done series, they play 4 or 5 games and they're out, that scenario would be much more likely. If Edmonton goes 2 or even 3 rounds like they did a year ago and Nick Bjugstad factors in even marginally into that, his value has just gone up. And maybe not signing in Edmonton, but he will increase his value across the league where it is going to be now a guy that instead of making 1.1 or, 1.2 million, now it's 1.8, 1.9. Potentially. I don't know. But I think the better playoffs he has and the farther Edmonton goes, the less likely he is to return to the Valley. Unfortunately. I won't say no today, though. I'm not ready to say no.
Yeah.
His agent is also a Minnesota guy. So
he is. Yeah. Gosh, look at all that. Who knew all these Minnesota connections?
Did you know Nick Bjugstad was from Minnesota?
He's from Minnesota.
By the way, if you missed our Petey and Bjugstad tribute video, it's on our Twitter.
I will say
at PHNX_Coyotes.
It's on YouTube too.
First, if you haven't seen it,
just Twitter.
If you haven't seen the Nick Bjugstad tribute video saying goodbye out the door from PHNX, sincerely do, because I have to thank Leah Merrill for all of her work on her day off. DP doesn't get days off, so every day is a work day for him, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. But Leah did that on her day off on her own, and I really appreciate it because I think it was outstanding. So check out her work.
It was, you guys deserved a tribute video.
It was really
for
neat.
Each other.
It was really neat.
And with the Bjugstad deal, Arizona retained 50% of his salary, and that was their third of 3 retention slots they can have, making them ineligible to retain any more contracts until July 1st. So when the calendar flips, we can reset, I guess, on that front. Any other thoughts on either Bjugstad going, Cam Dineen going, or Kesselring coming, or any thoughts on what the return was?
Yeah, I do. And because we have to talk about what's happening in the future at the back end here, because you saw Dyson Mayo and Cam Dineen, 2 guys that were prospects for this team for a very long time. Both have had, shortened stints here with the big club that are now gone. That's a concern, because when we start talking about what they have as defenseman depth in the organization right now today, it's pretty thin. And I think when we start going over who's still here and who's available to play and what's coming in the future, right now, the cupboards are fairly empty. I know you talk about Lamoureux as a possibility, Maverick Lamoureux as a possibility they drafted last year, but we talked about his size, and he's years away. There is no guy that they can plug in. That guy was Soderstrom, and he's here right now. And you talk maybe Kolyachonok. Well, he's here right now too. So unless Kesselring becomes that guy, they need to start drafting defensemen. Like, they need to have defensemen. When you start looking at the forwards in this organization, they're starting to get deeper with Cooley and Gunther and Michelli, and you've got that. They're going to have to start stocking the cupboards at the back end, and that's the concern I have with Dineen and Mayo both going out the door. Yeah, absolutely. But from what I've seen on Twitter, and obviously we haven't talked to anybody close to the organization to know, it seemed like Edmonton Oilers fans were kind of upset to see Kesselring go. Seemed like someone they were excited about. Obviously, we don't know for sure. We'll see how he fits in here, and we'll see tonight because he'll be on the ice. But big guy, so should be interesting.
Big guy, yeah.
To see how he fits in this lineup.
You know who won't be on the ice? The guy you're going to talk about next.
Yeah, no, he will not. Jakub Voráček came over. His contract, at least, came over. This is another deal that went down yesterday. The Coyotes traded goalie Jon Gillies to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Jakub Voráček, or Jakub Voráček's contract, if you will, and a 2023 6th-round pick. Jakub Voráček, he's been on the IR since November 4th with a concussion. He's 33. He's had 7 or 8 concussions in his career, as he said. It's not impossible, but unlikely that he plays again. There is an insurance factor on his salary if that were the case for he to not play again. And in return for taking that on, the Coyotes get that 6th-round pick as well and send Jon Gillies to Columbus, who has played just 15 games in the AHL for Tucson this season with a 3.7 goals against average and 8.78 save percentage.
Pretty sure he's not going to play. They have a really good sense of this if they're going to make this move, because the Coyotes, as we know, did not want to take on a lot of money. So this just allows them. Well, we talked about this while saving some money, right? That with the last deal, with the Shea Weber deal, they have insurance that they're going to reach the cap floor. And you've seen some of the tweets from Cap Friendly and Puckpedia what great percentage of their cap hit is tied up in long-term injured reserve, which is or in these deals at least, which they're not going to put them on LTIR, which are actually going to count against the cap. And that's just, I know we're going to get into this too, Leah, but that's just an indication of where this team is financially right now and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, $28.2 million of their cap hit on injured reserve, $3.6 million in dead cap hits, OEL, Patrick Kane, and then a sum of $31.8 million in injury or dead cap hits. 42% of their total cap hit, and that was yesterday, so the numbers might have shifted slightly in terms of the percentage of the cap hit, since that might have changed, but the number that didn't change is the dollar amount in terms of the dead contracts.
Yeah. So I got a couple thoughts here, and I know we'll get into it more, but those two players that you just mentioned, Shea Weber and Jakub Voráček, are two players that if this deal was 5 to 10 years ago,
you're thrilled.
You're going out of here. I've always liked Voracek. I think there were times his name has come up in the Coyotes coaches room for years as a guy that would fit into what they're trying to do here. Distributes the puck well. He's got 5 20-goal seasons. He is a good center iceman. All of those things are true.
And they finally made it happen, Petey.
And they made it happen. So here.
A little too late.
What the actual heck?
Okay. Couple things here. First up, before we get to what the actual heck, does Voracek bump Brian Little off the top line on the Legends?
He does.
He does, right?
I think so, too.
So now
longevity's got over 1,000 games.
Pavel Datsyuk between Marian Hossa and Jakub Voráček. That's your top line for the Legends line. Now you've got Dave Boland and Brian Little on your second. You're filling out a lineup
this
now.
roster.
Again, still don't have a goalie.
I
but
need a
you've
goalie,
got
Carey Price.
Shea Weber and Chris Pronger, who can log heavy minutes.
But he's going on the Ring of Honor that we've developed. We're putting his jersey, Voracek's.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
That.
I
So we'll
agree.
have that.
We also have to talk about Patrick Kane. I don't know where he fits because
Yeah, well, he might have to
technically they're
wait.
paying him, and
If we're
for
trying to-
one brief moment, he was in fact a Coyote.
Moments.
The way the deal went through.
Yeah,
So.
seconds. But yeah, Voracek, unreal career, 1,058 games, 806 points in that time, 223 goals, 583 assists, and a great beard as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he could be with
fits
O'Brien
in. And Krause.
Yeah,
and
that's
Ginger.
that's your line.
The ginger beard
ginger
on
beard.
this team.
They
No
need to play
team.
together.
the ginger beard man.
no
I like it.
No team has more ginger beards.
That's true because
That's
he's
it.
technically
That's the name of the line, the Gingerbeard Men.
Yep, the ginger beard man.
That's it. Perfect.
That's
I love it.
unreal.
Okay,
So now to what the actual
heck.
this much tied up in guys that aren't going to play just tells you where the Coyotes are financially. They are a cap floor team. This helps them get to the cap floor. Payroll's probably not even going to be at the cap floor. I know this makes a lot of people angry, and I get it. Honestly, I'm not sure that this is a great look for the league. You're worried about teams exceeding the cap, but you're allowing this kind of stuff to happen. Having said that, these are the rules. This is within the rules of the CBA. I know people say they're circumventing the cap. No, they're not, because that's a legal term, and they are not circumventing it. They are within the rules of the CBA. But again, it's a rough look for the league overall to allow this, and it just gives you a sense of where the Coyotes are. This is a bare bones operation. It's going to be a bare bones operation for a while, because when you look mostly at what the Coyotes got back to, they got a ton of draft picks. They didn't get prospects. So what happens when that happens, Petey?
The rebuild takes longer.
Yeah.
Just what everybody wants. More years of
Yeah,
this.
I mean, unless you win the lottery and get a player like a Bedard or Fantilli that can accelerate it,
Yeah,
it takes a
it's
little
brutal.
longer. And also, by the way, again, all y'all who are rooting for wins,
This is
maybe don't.
you're gonna have to you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
If they don't win the lottery, you're gonna have to wait a little longer. That's the price you pay for not getting those elite players, because they will not emerge from this rebuild until they think that they have the depth and the talent in their system to emerge from this rebuild.
Yep.
You have to do it the right way. It's been done the wrong way here at least 3 times. Enough. Learn from past mistakes, even if it wasn't the same regime, and do it the right way, no matter how much pain you have to endure in the short term.
Yep. I do want to talk more about the financial situation in a little bit, but this has been a stressful week for a lot of people. I think we can all do with some unwinding this weekend. And if you're looking for a great event to attend to do so, check out the M3F Festival. It's March 3rd and 4th, so today and tomorrow. Great lineup. And our friends at Four Peaks will be out there. So nothing better than drinking a Four Peaks beer. The weather's going to be nice this weekend. Take in some live music. Grab your tickets at m3ffest.com. and enjoy that Wow Wheat beer in the sun while you're there. I can't wait to enjoy some sit back tonight. Well, actually, we have a game tonight, don't we?
Use it a 4-piece glass, but not drinking quite yet because I got to work tonight.
We do have it. I totally forgot that we have a game tonight, and we will be live again later today. But tomorrow I will indulge in some 4 peaks. But you must be 21 or older to enjoy responsibly. And it's actually crazy the impact the trade deadline has on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sean and I co-hosted PHNX Bets Daily today. Go check that out if you haven't already. But lines from last night to today had already moved because Sean looked last night for his picks. I looked this morning and they were already different. So check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I'm sure a ton of stuff has shifted in terms of team futures. Either you can bet on Stanley Cup winner, you can bet on division winner, conference winner, whether or not a team will make the playoffs, all of that. It's on DraftKings. And now that the trade deadline has come and gone, those lines, get on them today before things shake out the rest of the year. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use that code PHNX, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. That's only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Does anybody have a pick of the week? I'm putting everybody on the spot, but does anyone have one? Sean?
I mean, I can give you one based on what we did on bets today.
Yeah, I knew it.
My DraftKings Sports pick of the week is the Buffalo Sabres to make the playoffs, plus 235. Tremendous value.
Not?
Jordan Greenway in the fold.
That's what I'm saying. And it's plus 235.
Is it still plus 235?
Yeah, it did not move with the Jordan Greenway trade, unfortunately.
Why not?
Also interesting, Ottawa Senators plus 550 to make the playoffs.
They are hot.
Just
right
saying,
now.
plus
They
550.
are red hot.
Okay.
Hey, listen, if they make the playoffs, then Coyotes fans, root for a run
Yeah,
to the Eastern Conference Final. The shocker.
Yes.
Can I talk about Ottawa?
Sure. Oh, but that's Sean's DraftKings pick of the week.
Yeah.
I love it. I actually picked that on bets too. Spoiler alert. Yeah.
So this kind of tied into what we were saying just before that. And we talked about what this means for the rebuild. So there's 2 teams I've said all season long that this is a model of. This is Buffalo and Ottawa. We want to be Buffalo and Ottawa, taking high draft picks, homegrown, and trying to be a competitive team trying to make the playoffs. Are we all in on that we're trying to agree this is what the hope is to be Ottawa and Buffalo who are both trying to compete? They drafted defenseman Thomas Chabot in 2015. 15? Do you know how many years that is? That's a lot.
I can do that math.
That's almost
That's
8.
That's 8. Yep.
So Kachuk 2018, 5 years ago. And they're not in the playoffs yet. They're not competitive yet. And that was 5 years ago. Shane Pinto is the year after that in 19. Stutzla is 20. They are not close. And we're anywhere from 5 to 7 years in. And we're still 2 years away. So that's 9.
2 years away from you being cup contention? I mean, they're a playoff contender right now.
Okay, fair. Competitive in the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay.
Buffalo, I just had this up. Oh, now I'm going to be in so mad. Buffalo Sabres. Dylan Cousins, 2019. Rasmus Dahlin, 2018. Casey Middlestat, 2017.
Yep.
These are the guys that are trying to get them now 6 years later, and they're on the cusp of making the playoffs in 6 years of successful years of high draft picks. And those are guys that made it successfully. They didn't miss on those. They hit on all 3 of those guys. We're talking about guys that they're getting in the draft right now. They're getting draft picks right now in 2025 and 2026.
Yep.
So go 6 or 7 years from there. You're talking 2032.
All right, I quit. See ya.
So I get where the excitement is over draft picks, but let's put it in context of, buddy, a 2025 or 26 draft pick is not playing or a part of your team until 2030.
I know. And then people will say oh, look at the Rangers, though. They announced a rebuild, and here they are right back. Well, you know what the Rangers have?
Money.
Holy
Bingo.
shit. Look what they did for free agents and money.
They have money.
And they went to the cap, and they spent to the cap. Tampa Bay spent to the cap.
Not happening here.
And above the cap, those teams. It's the only way, if you're going to do this, it is time. And we're talking, it is now in my head. I'm thinking competitive for a playoff spot, 27-28 season. Ooh. That is 5 years from now. And that's
30s.
just competitive. That's making the play. That's Buffalo and Ottawa. That's not running for it.
Are you all still out there? Or did you just leave? You said that.
Do we need to show the corgis again?
By the way,
I feel like I need to see the corgis
let's
again.
see the corgis
again.
again.
Corgis.
So by the way, I don't know if you read this in the newspaper. Well, nobody read it in the newspaper because it doesn't exist. But the Arizona Coyotes are trying to build an arena, and they want votes to publicly support that arena for a team that won't be relevant till potentially 28, 29, or 30. Sorry, guys.
Beyond that, like people knew that, right? But in terms of optics, you just look at the percentage of guys that aren't even playing for the team that you have on your cap, and you've stripped it down. And yes, and
what do you do in the locker room?
By the way, come vote for us.
What do you? And hey, I don't want this to appear negative because I'm all in with this. I think the rebuild is the only way to do this. I think you have to tear it down to build it up. I believe in the draft. I believe in what Bill Armstrong is doing, and he is selling, and I'm buying right now. And I believe in the TED, and I believe in Tempe, and I believe in the future. All of those things are true. But when you talk about Shea Weber, Jakub Voráček, Datsuk, Pronger, Hossa, on and on and on. And when you're spending up to 50% of your entire cap is spent on players that are on trading card only for playing in your backyard when you're handing out hockey cards, that is hard when I'm sitting as a player inside the locker room going, these guys don't care. Yeah. Like they just don't care. My career, I'm Clayton Keller. What do you think Clayton Keller is in 5 seasons?
Right.
Nick Schmaltz in 5 seasons.
Lawson
Krause in 5 seasons.
And it's hard on fans too, right? To say, but come to the mullet, pay the tickets, right? Well,
that one,
it's tough. It's a tough balance.
I heard
to strike.
People complaining about the ticket. Oh, we're gonna go see. Let's be thankful this team is here because you get to see the best hockey in the world, and I'll argue with anybody. The National Hockey League, by far the best league in the world, the best players you can see in the NHL in Tempe from 13 rows away. And that is phenomenal. You get to see the Carolina Hurricanes play tonight from 13 rows away, one of the premier teams in the league. So, good Lord, please don't leave. I'd love to see NHL hockey here, but if you want your team to be competitive against these teams right now, it's not happening. I will gladly say in that building, go watch, because if you haven't seen a game in this building, it's absolutely unbelievable seeing that level of talent that close up. Yeah. It is. But if you want your team to be able to compete for a playoff spot, it's not happening for a while.
So I gotta bring this up just to get us in a happier place. The Coyotes PR, this is probably Luke Johns or Jeffrey Sanders that looked this up. This is the first trade in the NHL's database that involves brothers being traded for each other.
That's awesome.
So Ritchie for Ritchie. First time it's ever happened. Didn't even happen with the Sutters.
So what do you think they feel like? Oh, I'm getting traded to Calgary. We'll go to dinner tonight.
Just live in each other's houses.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, they can live in each other's houses. There you go.
Yeah.
Silver lining Leah.
A lot of stuff like
if Brett wants to wear number 12, they don't even need to make a new jersey.
Keep the jersey. Like you know that the guy you're talking to, all his recs are going to be solid too because got the same genetic makeup.
The parents don't have to change their TV watching schedule.
I'm looking at the numbers.
It's crazy.
Ritchie were 24 in Calgary. There's no 24.
Yeah.
It's open, but 12 would be a lot easier for Stan and the equipment guys.
I'm saying it's just half of that. So
yeah, So anyway, I didn't mean to get on such a rant. It's just really hard, and I know that's where some of the Twitter universe is going, and I know that's some of the noise, but I want to leave this conversation and this rant with, this is, I truly believe, the only way to do it. I just wish that in prior regimes, they would have stuck to the plan that they started, because we could be on the other side of that.
I wish you and I would still be alive to see it. So just
I'm eating healthy. I'm trying to make it like 2030.
Sean and I will wheel you guys into the TED in 2050.
But I still think, and if you want to see this team accelerate that, the best way to do it is to get revenue streams other than the inside the mullet. So the new building does create new revenue streams, which allows an ownership base to spend more money.
Marketing,
so it's all
naming, right?
100%.
All the things that they're not
so it's
getting
all
there.
cyclical.
Parking.
You get that. You can spend more. You spend more on these young picks. You might be able to accelerate this by a few years. So it's not doom and gloom completely, because when you say they're going to try to lose, I don't believe this team is on the pace of trying to lose after this year. I don't believe that at this pace. Once this draft is completed, they have so many picks now. It is developing those picks. I believe that. I think the worst of the teardown is there. Now it's drafting, developing, coaching, training, filling the roles. So I think this is the worst of it.
I want to take us to just another irreverent place, because I think we're depressing people right now.
Okay.
I think we might be.
What do you got?
Who else has worn number 24? Mr. Guy who's
Korpikoski, the Corpedo. Branko Radivojevic.
24.
24.
Nope.
Well, didn't Korpikoski wear 28?
Yeah.
Oh, he was 28.
How did I just pull that out of my memory?
I'm just going to name some names here. Michel Petey, who actually played for
Michel Petey, another one of those
Stan Neskash.
cup of coffee.
For one season.
Gosh.
Ladislav Nagy.
Yeah, he's 17.
David Cullen. Darcy Hordichuk. Jan
Cullen's a
Hrdina.
David Cullen's a Minnesota kid, though.
No, Jan Hrdina.
Jan Hrdina worked for years.
Josh Gratton.
Yeah.
That was a painful trade. No, that was Chris Gratton. Never mind. Kyle Chipchura.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 2012.
And Hudson Fashing.
2012. Where's the parade?
There you go.
Hudson Fashing. Where is he from? Minnesota.
I don't know. Okay.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
I wanted
2 Minnesotans wore that number.
It's a good Minnesota number.
All
I
right.
do want to just bring up, because Tim had a comment a couple minutes ago about Connor Bedard, that Bedard will sell tickets 100%, and you passed it, John. He's the marketing cheat code, is what Tim said. And it's true. A little bit of lottery luck can go a long, long way. Imagine if
it sells.
Imagine if they draft Bedard. Jersey sales, marketing.
And it fast forwards the rebuild.
Yes.
It fast
does.
forwards it.
So,
It does.
Like, everybody, freaking pray, sage, crystals.
And
Whatever
Connor
you need
Bedard
to
would
do.
be unbelievable to have a
Top
player of that
3.
caliber. Yes. Or even top 4. Though Mishkov's not going to speed things up because he's not going to be here until 26 at the earliest. So you're right, top 3.
Top 3? You better pray.
Well, I will say this.
What else am I supposed to say?
The other thing that
Cut
Coyotes did is
pray.
this does push along the basement battle for Bedard without a doubt. This roster is absolutely decimated right now.
Buddy, look at the Blackhawks.
The Blackhawks are right there.
They're horrible.
That's a bad hockey team.
Yeah, and we're gonna project the roster here in a minute, but just while we're staying in the land of negative, I just want to talk about one thing. And you published your column, right?
Yep,
right?
it's
okay,
up.
and it's unlocked.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody after our show should go check out Craig's column at gophnx.com. It's kind of goes over this entire trade deadline and what it highlights in terms of money, and we already kind of touched on this in terms of the look and when they're trying to get this arena approved. And one of the things you had mentioned, and this is not a knock or taking away from this endeavor, but just how it looks in the grand scope. But all these partnerships with these jerseys and fashion lines, and those people aren't working for free. So sometimes you just wonder, like, you're investing all that money in that sort of thing, but you're not able to retain any salary on a deal.
Right.
Like, Nick Schmaltz could have been traded today, and that might have upset people. But the number one reason he probably wasn't is because no team can take him on without the Coyotes retaining salary.
Right.
And
that'd be a hefty,
that.
That'd be a hefty retention. And were there deals, value deals, even available if you're going to move a guy like that? But you're right about the merchandise too. And listen, here's the thing I need to say about that. I don't know what they invested in merch and their new jerseys and what the return has been. So without knowing that, I can't say definitively. I'm just talking more about the optics. It's like, okay, we're rolling out this event on, is it first Friday where he's going to be?
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, tonight. And yet that's trade deadline day where we just gutted the roster and a huge percentage is devoted to players who aren't going to play. It's a weird visual right now. I just, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, it feels weird. And it's honestly, there's a lot of times on Twitter where people are really mean to the Coyotes. And usually I'm like, F you people. And there's some comments I've read this week and I'm like, and it's not a reflection of Bill Armstrong at all. It's not a reflection of the coaching staff, the players on the ice, or the fans. And that's the thing that I hate, that it gets all tied up, because as a longtime fan of this team, I get like personally upset when people attack the Coyotes franchise and organization. They're two different things, because the players on the ice, the coaches, the fans, all of that's separate from the finances and the ownership and all of, and the drama that we've seen for 25 plus years. That's separate. But it's been a journey being a Coyotes fan. Let's just put it at that. And hopefully it's only up from here.
But how do you feel? How do you feel? And you just mentioned it, André Tourigny. How do you think he feels right now? He doesn't have, and I know there's got to be another move, because right now they don't have 20 players put on the ice tonight.
Yeah, in the short term.
Oh, and by the way, they're playing one of the best teams in the National Hockey League tonight.
And Shayne Gostisbehere.
Right.
That's hilarious, by the way.
Feel for Karel Vejmelka tonight, because Carolina is a high volume shot team anyway. Tonight?
This team shoots from literally everywhere.
Yes.
Boy, howdy, if you want to take the over on saves by Karel Vejmelka on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, today is the day.
Pick of the week, right?
Because not only that, when we talked about their roster.
Are you betting it right now, Sean? He just picked up his phone.
I'm going to see what it is.
But you talked about Kesselring. And this morning at the ice den, Coach Tourigny was asked, well, what do you think about his game? And you know what he said?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Don't know.
But
by the way, you're playing him.
We'll plug him in tonight on one of our pairs without any idea what his skill set is.
No idea what kind of player he is.
But that's the reality of the trade deadline. Like a lot of teams are dealing with this right now. And we've talked about this too. Like, just give the guys the day off. Why are they playing games?
There's a game tonight. Horrific.
Just give them the day off. Let these guys even get into a morning skate so a coach can look at them and say, oh, okay, so I have some idea.
The league doesn't play a lot of games on Mondays. Do the trade deadline always on a Monday and games on a Tuesday. Why don't we do that? Like, I get it. Is it Friday? Yeah, it's Friday today. I get that. You don't want to
ruin all of our weekends.
The weekend revenue? Yeah, that's a good point. Never mind.
It's more about us, Pete.
This is just not fair that teams that play. And there are going to be so many people and so many teams that have players in the air today or packing or trying to get there. There are a lot of teams.
He's flying today.
As a matter of Max Domi's in that. Max Domi will play tomorrow. Dallas.
I'm so mad that they didn't get that throw in time because I love the story of the player walking down the hall to the other locker room. That almost happened last night.
Happened with Ghost.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
it's not a hallway though. It's more like a breezeway.
True.
Open air.
True breeze. Well, to the players who are on their way in, Brett Ritchie, unless you're going to live at Nick's house, Connor Mackey, Jakub Voráček, he's not coming here.
But he's not looking for houses.
Kesselring, if you need places to live, if you need to furnish those places, may I point you in the direction of More Furniture, which as somebody who literally moved a week ago, let me tell you, they will save your life, especially that white glove delivery. You don't have to stress about it. They just deliver it right to your house. Anything you can possibly need, chairs, couches, tables, beds, all of it. It's all at More Furniture. You can save big on the best furniture in the Valley when you head to morefurniture.com. That's MOR furniture.com.
My God, we've already been talking a long time.
But I wanted to, are we done with business?
Yeah.
Business?
What are you going to say? Because we do have to get moving along here.
I just want to say, when we talked about Voracek and those guys, I want to do an alumni event. We're helping the team to be positive. There should be a marketing event where remember how they flew the 80s Olympic team out? They should fly all those guys out to drop the puck. Voracek, Weber, Datsuk, everybody at center ice. They could have a golf tournament at the same time.
It'd be hysterical.
And the jersey sales.
Sell the jerseys.
The jersey sales in the team shop with all of those guys. Hossa, Datsuk, Weber. Fly them out here. Give them a great weekend. Give them a golf weekend and have them drop the puck. There we go.
Unreal.
You got 5 forwards and 2D now. You got
put the names
guys
on their jersey and then play an alumni game.
Are we throwing Kane on this team? Patrick Kane?
No, not yet.
If you do, then
because he's
if you
still
think
playing.
Of dead money, you have to think of OEL.
That's right.
Too.
Guys that didn't play afterward is the key.
They don't play afterwards.
That's a key criteria.
But when Kane's done, we can put it. My point is,
bring him on.
Drop the puck.
Played a game after the Coyotes picked
Drop the puck, sell the jersey. I'd buy a Datsuk 13.
Maybe you should cut the K. Yeah, I don't know.
You're buying a jersey, aren't you? I'm buying Datsuk 13.
I'm buying both.
Well,
obviously.
We're saying Pat Kane's not a part of this, right?
Yeah.
I'd go Pavel.
Yeah, I'd go Datsuk all day.
Unreal.
Weber 6, though.
Yeah.
Pronger 44.
If Kane was a part of this, that'd be the easy choice for me.
Okay, I didn't mean to I'm just saying that let's get the marketing people on that one.
Well, unfortunately, none of those people are on the Coyotes as much as we'd all wish for that.
Yes.
But there is still a roster.
But
and we're quite unsure how things are going to shake out.
Are we going to a 2-shot here?
We are.
We are.
So I could leave. I could be gone.
You could, but I wouldn't recommend it. So much like we did before the season started when we were projecting the lines. Spoiler alert: we were quite wrong when we did
were
that.
we?
But we're going to try again. And Coach Petey has brought in his handy-dandy whiteboard. We had to, at the last minute, do some Sharpie writing in new names to accommodate. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, it makes a lot more sense. We have a visual. You can see all the guys who were traded
I've been your way.
off to the side.
We're gonna leave this, and you're gonna go a little while here, right, Petey?
Oh, no, I want to go quick.
This might be the first announced potty break on the PHNX Coyotes show.
Literally?
See you guys later.
Okay, bye, Craig.
DP, can I move the other? Can I go to the other mic? Okay.
No, you can't.
Okay,
Sorry.
never mind. I'm just gonna. So I think what we're just going to do is one of the things we want to talk about is we talk about the depth of defensemen, and that's where this is really going to go off the rails. So I think when we just start at the top line, Hayton's been between Keller and Schmaltz. I don't see any reason to adjust that line. Schmaltz has been on fire. Keller's been great. Hayton's been getting to that. Everything is great there. Agree, Leah? We're good at the top line?
I agree. Yep.
Second line, they had McBain with Michelli and Krause. McBain, a bigger body, got to the net, took Bjugstad's role. I'm also okay with that. The problem is going to be the fourth line the other night was O'Brien, Dauphin, Kassian, which is fine. The only other forward available is Brett Ritchie, and he will not be here tonight. So I would guess, if possible, they're going to try to go 11-7 tonight, and I don't know if they have enough defensemen to do that either. So we're going to leave it like this, and I'm going to take Ritchie. I got to drop my microphone.
We're moving Ritchie on that third line.
I'm going to put Ritchie on the third line with Fisher and Boyd, or they could put O'Brien there, which puts Ritchie, Kassian, and Dauphin as your fourth line for the Arizona Coyotes. Now the problem at defense: Chychrun gone, Gostisbehere gone, Stecher gone, Dineen gone, Mayo gone. Oh boy, howdy. So what are we left with? Valimaki, who's been playing with Gostisbehere, can't do that.
Nope.
Then with Stecher, can't do that. I don't know who Valimaki is going to play with. We've got too many left-handed defensemen again. Brown's not ready to play. Mackey won't get here today, but you know is here?
Kesselring.
Ugh.
So you think his NHL debut, he's on the top pair?
Nope. I
are you
think they're
moving?
I think it's gonna be Soderstrom just sliding up.
Wow.
I think Mosier plays with Nemeth, and I think Kolyachonok plays with Kesselring. That's your three pairs. The problem with this matchup, I don't know who's going to get the puck up the ice. And if you go lower on the stand, you look at Crotty, Connaught, there's literally, Craig, there's no defense. There's none. Your next call-ups are Crotty and Connaught, and that's it. There's nobody else. There's no other defense in this organization right now. This is it. So on the top, we have how many guys that were minor leaguers? We have 3 minor leaguers playing. Nemeth, who is a 6'7", Mosier and Valimaki, who are kids.
Yep.
And they're playing one of the most offensive teams in the National Hockey League tonight.
What could go wrong?
And the back end with Vamelka and Ingram, they have been phenomenal, outstanding. Good luck. The thing I wanted to pull this up for, and the main point I wanted to show this, is what happens next. Who's next up? Because we talk about Tucson and who can they filter in? Who can they bring up? Who can get the experience? And that list is short.
This is such a tough thing to balance for the Roadrunners too, because they are battling for a playoff spot, and you can't gut them. Otherwise, you're going to miss the opportunity to have those guys play meaningful games and learn what it's like to be in those situations. So it's a really difficult balance.
And when you look at what the Coyotes are doing up front, you look at McBain as your second line center. I like Jack McBain. He's a really good player. Gets to the net hard, competitive. He fights. He does everything you like. Great kid. Do you know where he is on most teams?
A third or fourth?
He's a fourth line player or a 13th forward. And that's borderline playoff teams. So the Coyotes are putting him in the number 2 hole. Love the kid. Great future. This roster, you talk about losing games. I literally don't know where this team's going to go. And this is also a defeated team. And Bear has done a great job of everybody pulling the chain and pulling the rope and doing great things. Look at that board. And you look at the next forwards up: Carconi, J.S. Day, Jan Unique, who's still hurt and out, Ben McCartney, Kellerman, Nathan Smith.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys that could come up.
They could come up in a revolving door.
Sure, but where the frick are you getting your defense?
There isn't. Crotty.
They don't have any injuries.
Crotty and Connaught.
Josh Brown,
Brown's got to get healthy,
and
that puts you at the ability to play 11-7. They have to have a call up today in order to either play 12-6 or 11-7, because they do not have enough players to play today.
And they still have 1/4 of the season left. It's not like it's a handful of games. They have 1/4 of the season left.
Yeah, it's really disheartening. And as an exercise to the coach, you go with this board and you look at, okay, well, what are my options here? What are my options? And you shuffle people around and you go, oh, okay, there's a lot of things I can do. They literally, they have no options.
Yep.
And I don't know. And that's assuming both Mackey and Ritchie come here. I mean, Ritchie will be here.
Yeah.
Ritchie's going to be a part of this team, and he'll play in the top 12, and he's going to get ice time for sure.
Mackey might have to come here.
Yeah.
Because the lack of defensive options.
I just, when I pulled Dyson Mayo and Cam Dineen out of their possibilities at the back end, you're like, oh boy.
Right. Dyson Mayo, Cam Dineen, and Kolyachinook and Soderstrom up here. So, wow, have you gutted the Roadrunners.
So, you know how
on the
we went
back
down the I-10 and talked to Coach Steve Potvin a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
I'd like to make that phone call tomorrow. See, how you doing, Steve? How's your playoff push going? Whoops.
Also, I love that Michael's takeaway. What I'm hearing, bet Yotes to win tonight.
Yeah.
Listen, Michael, you never know.
The bet the Coyotes
Could be
money line
worth-
tonight.
I did put $10 on veggie saves at 30.5.
So
I
the
like
Roadrunners, by the way, 7 teams make it from the Pacific, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're 7th.
They're sitting 7th right now, 5 points ahead of Henderson and San Jose. So
It's tight.
can they hang on?
But this goes to what we said before, Craig. This American League team needs to have meaningful games in the spring, and they haven't. And it's because injuries up here changed the roster down there. That was last year.
Yep.
This year, it's you decimated the roster up here, so now you need those guys to be here to limp through a season with no meaningful games. Give the kid an experience to see what he needs, what it's like. I'm all
Right.
for that. Those games matter. You need those kids to develop and play in meaningful playoff games. I hope that if they need to fill roster spots, that it does become a revolving door to give them a chance down there.
The other thing to keep an eye on, and there's not a glut of these guys out there in the. I mean, you're not really thinking about your NHL team as much, but college free agents, right? There could be guys that they bring in. They brought in Nathan Smith, and I know they didn't do it that way, but Nathan Smith and Jack McBain. So it's possible that you could find some help for your AHL club there too. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
Maybe.
it's a tough situation.
Yeah, and I know before we leave, we spent some time on the other two big trades, a lot of time on Gostisbehere and Chychrun, but I think during the show we at least have to mention, because now Chychrun has had a chance to play.
Yeah, he did make his debut with the Ottawa Senators.
Scary moment too, right?
Yeah, hit down on
Can
the
you imagine
ice.
if he gets hurt game 1 after all of that?
Awful. But big win for Ottawa against the Rangers, who they also had Patrick Kane making his Rangers debut. So it's a big night of debuts for them. But yeah, I mean, we got to, as Coyotes fans, got to keep your eyes on the Ottawa Senators, because it's really going to dictate where that first round pick ends up. And if they do make the playoffs, you better cheer for them to make the Eastern Conference final in that case. But otherwise, we are anti-Ottawa Senators fans.
Can you imagine the road they'd have to get through to get to the Eastern Conference
Ottawa,
final? The juggernauts.
Boston,
Yeah, Ottawa,
Tampa,
Boston.
Toronto.
Yeah, the Bruins are going to have like 150 points when the
Yeah,
season
and
ends.
they limp in and have to play them.
By the
Chychrun-
way, the Bruins have loaded up, and I know we're going to talk about this tonight. The Bruins have loaded up with a team that
Unreal.
was already on pace to have
Almost
the most
not
points
fair.
in NHL history.
I know.
almost not fair.
Talked about
And
that
what
on the
Orlov
Bet
has
Show,
done
too.
there. But you look at Chychrun there last night. I don't think that you're asking a guy who probably hardly slept the night before, traveled all day,
Hasn't played.
very emotional. He's been out of the lineup here
Yeah.
for a very long
No,
time.
you can't judge it on that.
He's got a lot of family there. It was a tough situation to throw him into and expect him to come out of there as the first star. I think we'll have to wait and see on that one. Let that simmer. Let him play with the guys. Know the guys. Get acclimated and play more games. He's an offensive player. He's going to help that team. Do I think Ottawa makes playoffs? I still don't. Sorry, Ottawa fans, but I know you're all tuned in. I don't think the team makes the playoffs, but you talk about their competitors, the Rangers. We'll talk about them tonight too, because I want to talk about their mix of lines. But that's where Chychrun falls in. I think he's going to help that team offensively. What surprised me about that is how emotional he got, and going to a team where his family can be closer to him. Family is really important to him. You could see that being a big driver in this. So when he said, I need to win, I think he's happy being around family. So if that's it, good for Jakob. If that's making him happy and he'll get an opportunity, and great for him. So we'll see what that does.
Right. I just, I think about him too, and I think about what a major piece. We thought he was a cornerstone of this franchise, and there's
we
so
talked
many
captain, Craig.
There were so many cool moments early on in Jakob Chychrun's career here. Love his dad. I talk to his dad all the time. I just, let be bigger, right? Just be big people, right? Take the Nick Bjugstad example.
Yep.
Wish Jakob Chychrun luck. Hopefully he goes
exactly.
and tears it up for the Ottawa Senators.
But miss the playoffs. Sorry.
Miss the playoffs. Sorry,
because
buddy.
that's
Or go to the conference final. Whichever
one
you
or the
want to
other.
do, go for
One
it.
there
or
is
the
no
other.
in between.
Yeah.
No.
Miss the playoffs or Eastern final. So I wish him well. Good luck to Jakob Chychrun. I hope everything works out good for him in his career, and wish him well in the Eastern Conference when the Coyotes are in the West and they can meet in the finals and 2030.
And we'll be sure to talk more about Shayne Gostisbehere tonight because we will literally see him at Mullen Arena in action tonight against his former team.
And we'll dissect his game too.
We'll talk more about that tonight. We'll talk about how Kesselring does. We'll talk more about some of the bigger trades around the league as well. But, we just had an hour today to go through all of this, and the Coyotes made it really tough for us by throwing in a few trades at the deadline. We have a $5 super chat from Altex. Thank you, Altex. Said, at work, super slow right now. The best takeaway of all of the AZ trades is Kassian now has more scoring chances. He is indeed
He slipped through. He slipped through the trade deadline.
Kassian, anytime goal scorer tonight, why not? Why not?
Craig, one more thing, though. How did this team had a lot of free agents coming due at the end of the year? How did this team do with their free agents?
Well, I mean, they're all gone. Whether you like the return or not is open for debate, and I talk about some of this in my column today. Yeah. So there's a lot of nuance here. There's always nuance. It's not Bill waited too long or Bill overplayed his hand or whatever convenient phrase spills from your lips that doesn't involve actual analysis. It's complex. I'm guessing in the big picture, would they have liked a little bit more? Probably, but sometimes it doesn't work out.
Every single one.
They got rid of all of them. Yes,
that's unreal.
That is that. You know what? I'm surprised. All of the UFAs are gone for an asset. Every single one. That's hard to do.
Yep.
That's crazy. Well, we'll hear from Bill Armstrong later before the game and hoping to catch up with him soon. And I don't know if we've done a very good job of selling you on this team for the rest of the season, but they are set to play a lot of home games here coming up. So if you want to go see them in action, you can do so by using the Game Time app to buy your tickets. You can save up to 60% when you buy your tickets last minute. So if you want to go to tonight's game, see Shayne Gostisbehere play the Coyotes, you can do that. The tickets are as cheap as they've ever been on Game Time right now. And the best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link below in the description. And like Craig mentioned, he has the column up right now. So as soon as we end here, go read it. Really kind of puts everything into words what we've been saying for the last hour here, but in a more compact and thoughtful way, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to sell a team right now and follow up on that. The reason I was able to, I hope at least make it compact and readable is this team. Wow. Sorry. Today, I had writer's block, so P went to the ice den for me and did some reporting. Before he came in here, he made an extra trip to go there. When I got here, I'm thinking, okay, we got to plan the show. Nope. Leah and Sean already had it planned. I didn't have to do anything but my
Don't put my name in there. That's all Leah.
Leah had a crazy list of things already put together. I love this team. I love what we do here.
I do too.
Craig.
Yeah, I do too. So if you want to become a diehard and support us, it would really mean a lot to us. You can join our Discord, get 20% off merchandise, 20% off events, and access to the diehard only pieces on the website as well. And it's a great time to become a diehard because of our events, because our next PHNX Tea Party at Dobson Ranch is coming up this month. So Friday, March 24th, we'll be out at Dobson Ranch for a night of golf, food, drinks, contests, prizes, and more. I know a bunch of you were out at the first tea party. It was a lot of fun. You can come hang out with the PHNX crew, the fellow Suns fans, diehards, as we watch KD, Booker, and the Suns. By the way, talk about a team that's exciting in the Valley. Battle in the final stretch of the season as they take on Darren Fox. Why did they put all these names in here? How about the Sacramento Kings, okay?
There you go.
Check the link in the show notes to reserve your spot today. And diehards, check Discord for your exclusive discount link.
What name did they have on there after? Is it Domantas Sabonis?
Yes.
Yeah, there you
go. Which is fine, but I'm reading this for the first time live on the
I don't know if you know this, and I'm going to spoil it. This is a joke, and it's only for Shayne. Domantas Sabonis is like 8 feet 2 inches tall. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah.
We didn't.
He's like 8'3". It's crazy.
That's wild.
Is this something that Shane said?
Yeah,
he's like
bonus. 8 feet 4 inches tall.
I would drop
Sorry,
that
Romans next week.
Oh, Lord.
I just said that's a big Sabonis.
No!
Pop to Sabonis.
You know, I was altering tweets today. I was telling these guys I was altering tweets because I looked at it. I was like, oh, that sounds a little risque when you read it.
Yeah, no.
It's you. It's your fault.
Wait.
Oh boy.
Just
All right.
wait.
Well, we got to do another show today. We'll be back again live tonight after the Coyotes play the Carolina Hurricanes. So we hope to have you all join us. Then you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live, and stay locked in here on the channel. Sean's about to be on the PHNX Sports Podcast. They're going to talk a little bit more about the Chychrun trade and some other stuff going on in Arizona sports this week. So that will be at 3 o'clock. So hang on tight here. And you can follow all of us on Twitter. You can follow Petey at SPetersHockey, me at Leah Merrill, Craig at Craig S. Morgan, Sean at Sean_DePods, the show at PHNX_Coyotes, and follow PHNX Sports across all social platforms. Whoa, we made it, everybody. Show one of 2 of the day done. We made it through the trade deadline. Everybody in the comments, thanks so much for tuning along. Like this video, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody, and we'll see you tonight.